Close your eyes. Let your mind take control. And turn your brain into a dance floor. Start the drums.
Building drum sequence.
Add the bass line. Create the melody.
Melody programmed.
Now add the people.
Global crowd selection online. Enter access code to share. Access granted.
This is A State of Trance podcast with Armin van Buuren.
First track of this week was the brand new remix the Orange County boys Norin Rad did of my track with Criado, Suddenly Summer, as requested by Ariel Portillo from Paraguay. My name is Armin van Buuren and welcome to a new edition of the State of Trance podcast. This week, bringing you brand new music by Protoculture, Sied van Riel, Tyas, and a great classic by Albert Voorne. But up next, and this guy is on fire, the brand new Shogun remix of Emma Hewitt, Miss You Paradise.
There's something behind your eyes. I couldn't wait to not realize I'd never come back. And the pattern's taking over, and it lasts more than a while. Another reason I won't be around to see the night.
State of Trance podcast with Armin van Buuren.
What a fantastic tune by Protoculture from South Africa. Definitely one of my current favorites. All part of his new EP on Rebrand Records called Cobalt. You're tuned into the State of Trance podcast every week for free on your audio device, YouTube or Spotify. And thank you for all your emails. Sarah Mike from University of Western Ontario in Canada shouts out a happy birthday to her friend Umar. And Johnson Bayer wishes his friend Devin happy 19th birthday. Harry Toledo from the US wishes his girlfriend Sydney happy 21st birthday. And I'd love to hear what you're doing while listening to the State of Trance podcast. Or maybe you have a classic request or a shout, let me know. Send me an email, armin@astateoftrance.com. Up next is one of the artists that absolutely rocked the State of Trance 550 celebrations in Los Angeles and in Den Bosch. Dutch DJ and producer Sied van Riel. This is his brand new single on Captivating Sounds, Tunnel Vision.
When you are falling
You're checking out the official State of Trance podcast with me, Armin van Buuren, and you just heard the new single on Subculture, the label of the guy that remixed Sean Tyas and David Berkeley, Take My Hand. I'm talking about John O'Callaghan, of course. Every week I'm taking you back in time for the State of Trance podcast classic, and this week's track sort of started the career for one of the biggest trance artists of the moment, Gareth Emery, as requested by Nemanja Stevanovic from Serbia. Here is Albert Voorne, Formentera What, in a great remix by Gareth Emery.
is the State of Trance Podcast Classic.
Great classic, wow. Do you want to hear your future classic on the podcast? Send me your requests, armin@astateoftrance.com, and mention podcast classic somewhere in there. Remember, for all the information, track listings and more about A State of Trance, visit astateoftrance.com, also to see where we are in Ibiza and special celebrations in New York and Las Vegas. Alright, my time is up now, but I'll be back next week for a new State of Trance podcast.
For more info and previous editions of the podcast, visit arminradio.com or youtube.com/Armin van Buuren. Until next time.
For more info, check www.armadamusic.com.